In this video, we'll understand how to use the CES booklet for conducting an effective CES at your center. This booklet will help you present the main aspects of QMath to the parents. Now, the entire CES is based on 5 points that every parent coming to your center needs to know. Number 1, why math is important for the child's future. Number 2, we teach math differently. Number 3, we focus on individualized attention because every child learns differently. Number 4, the children will enjoy math through our classes, which is important for learning outcomes. And finally, that our children will demonstrate learning outcomes given enough time. The first page talks about why math is important for the child's future. Begin by talking about our take on math. Ask the parent, which of these do you think is a math question? Allow them some time to answer. Then highlight that the first question can be seen in any math textbook. It can be solved by a standard multiplication procedure or with the help of a calculator faster than most of us can. Whereas the question on the right is different. It's about identifying the quickest route covering 4 different places. How would you go about solving this problem? For this, you would have to gather all related information like the time of day, availability of the people you want to meet, traffic and other constraints. Then you would weigh each approach and come up with a well thought out solution that is best for you. If you notice, the start destination and the closing destination is not given. So it's more open-ended and there is no one correct answer to this. But this is close to the kind of problem solving adults do on a regular basis. This kind of problem solving is more complex and involves more reasoning. And this is what will be needed more in the future. That is why we believe math is a life skill. In the artificial intelligence era, even the more advanced computational jobs like financial trading and surgery are getting automated. Our children should be prepared to be critical thinkers instead of being just good calculators. So while calculation and arithmetic is a part of math, it is not all that math is or can be. At the end of this page, the parent should understand what we think of math and why this kind of math is needed to prepare our children for the future. Use the next page to emphasize that the way math is being taught right now is not really preparing children for the future. For example, if you ask any grade 3 student what 12 times 4 is, the most common answer that you will get is, I can't answer it, I don't know the 12 times table. But the fact is, they know enough to be able to solve this problem without knowing the 12 times table. And similarly, you will get answers like 1 by 2 plus 1 by 4 is 2 by 6 because children don't understand what fractions really are. They resort to mechanically adding the numerator and the denominator separately because they know how to do it with whole numbers. And this becomes very evident when we look at the National Achievement Survey for 2017. The results show that the mathematical ability of children drops significantly over 5 years. Is this because the children are becoming less smart? Not really. It's more to do with the way math is being taught. This results in gaps that are becoming wider with each passing year. This is because math is being taught through rote learning, by memorizing and practicing procedures. When in fact, children should not be taught math. They should learn math through reasoning. And this is what QMath does. Tell the parent that QMath students are allowed to learn math by reasoning. With our workbooks, they're able to visualize what 12 times 4 is, and this equips them to make the connection between 12 times 4 and 4 times 12. With this, they can finally deduce that the answer is 48 without really knowing the 12 times table. QMath students visualize concepts like fractions through the math box learning aids. They can then see that 1 by 2 plus 1 by 4 is just filling 3 parts out of 4 in a whole. And so the answer is 3 by 4, not 2 by 6. Let the parents know that QMath students use MathBox learning aids to understand concepts by connecting it to their surroundings. Use this page to contrast reasoning with memorizing and bring out the difference between QMath and other programs. This is another example of reasoning in math. If the child is from a higher grade, then you can use this page to show how QMath students learn algebra. Algebra and geometry can seem like 2 independent topics in math, but a QMath student is capable of visualizing quadratic expressions as a rectangle. For this example, use MathBox algebra tiles to represent this expression, then form them into this rectangle. The 2 sides of the rectangle then become the factors of the expression. So QMath students can solve this problem by just rearranging things in their mind or on paper or through manipulatives. This makes algebra look less intimidating. We cannot achieve mastery in a concept like algebra by memorizing steps or formulae, so it's important that we learn to reason things out. Use this page to let parents know that in QMath, math is not just limited to worksheets. We cover math through puzzles too. The ability of reasoning allows students to come up with creative answers. Ask the parents to take a look at this puzzle. Let them know that QMath children have found 3 correct answers to this. In fact, the third answer is something that even we did not consider till one of our students brought it up. Ask the parents to take a moment to think through this puzzle and come up with all 3 answers. Tell them that their child will be able to do these very soon. No math textbook will train you to think this way. This is what our children do in every class. Learn to reason and justify their answer. Essentially, the objective of our program is to build perseverance in children because we value struggle and mistakes in the learning process over getting immediate results without focusing on the foundation. Let the parents know that in addition to workbooks and puzzles, students do exercises on the tab for 10 minutes in class. Ask them to take a look at the example here. Be sure to point out that these questions don't seem like math at all, very different from the classical definition of math. These questions ask children to spot patterns before giving them definitions. The first question asks children to identify symmetry in flags, while the second question allows them to categorize and look for properties in shapes. This approach helps children reason by recognizing patterns, so this approach is integral to math learning. With consistent effort for 2 to 3 months, kids start solving 12 to 15 such questions in under 1 minute. Now, if the parent has asked or asks at this point what the outcomes are, tell them that with time, students start to become more focused, they begin to reason everything more, and most importantly, they enjoy and fall in love with math. All of this ultimately leads to better performance in school exams, but we typically see these outcomes after 12 months with QMath. So given enough time, your child too will demonstrate this. So this page and the next talks about how we create outcomes. The way we've engineered our curriculum and classes, this is the outcome we can expect in students. This is in fact a worksheet that one of our grade 3 students solved. If you notice, the worksheet already has the answer of 15 times 5 equal to 75. But the student modeled the statement in 4 different ways. She first looked at it by visualizing it using the disk model. She broke them up into these 2 ways, and then she also used the standard approach to multiplication. Through this process, she was able to see how the algorithm of multiplication works, and she formed her own mental models. So while it's important to be fluent in solving problems like 15 times 5, math is not just that. Math is about reasoning what 15 times 5 really means and why it is the algorithm of repeated addition. This is what we expect all our students to achieve. Let the parent know that this is the expected trajectory of a QMath student. Let's say your child comes with a deep-rooted fear of math. It'll take a few months to try and address that problem, and soon he will move to a point where he will himself be interested in solving more challenging problems. Ultimately, he'll begin to ace math problems everywhere. Now, every child can excel at math because there's no such thing as a math gene. But because we are fixing fundamental issues, it'll take 12 to 15 months for all of this to happen. And this will of course depend on where your child is in this trajectory. If he already loves math, it'll take him less time to start demonstrating outcomes. But for this to happen, we can't copy the school schedule or their way of learning. We follow our own curriculum because we are a self-paced program, and children should be given enough time to work through and reason every concept at their own pace. And because everything in math is connected, concepts should be learned in depth and in the correct order to ensure foundations are strong. Now, this cannot happen if we are constantly matching topics in school. With this thought, we can move on to the next 2 pages, which emphasize on strong math foundation. Tell the parent that building a strong foundation from an early age is very crucial for math learning. This is because people need time to understand and evolve in the process of mathematical thinking. There are lots of studies which show correlation between early math foundation and future academic success. This is of course true because if your fundamentals are not clear, it is quite difficult to build on top of that. To understand this better, let's look at this example. As you can see, concepts learnt in each grade act as building blocks for concepts learnt in a higher grade. So it's almost futile to focus on fractions when the real problem is basic number sense or division. While working on fractions might work temporarily, if the fundamentals are not strong, we are just postponing the problem. If the problem is not visible in 3rd or 4th grade, it will definitely be visible in grades 9 and 10 when the stakes are higher. Working on the foundation in those grades becomes more difficult because you have to unlearn everything and the learning gaps would have gotten built up over time. So concepts must be learned in the correct sequence to ensure foundations are strong. Use these 2 pages to establish that something as basic as number sense is ultimately very critical for advanced topics like algebra and in later years calculus, probability and programming. This will be a good point to talk of when parents ask you why we must follow our own curriculum instead of matching the topics that are done in schools. Use this page to describe how children learn mathematical thinking at QMath. These are the ingredients to help children reason. Children build their own mental models. They see the same concept from different points of view. and they see that questions can have various right answers. They create algorithms, and they learn concepts at the right time. For example, we will not introduce fractions and decimals without having a strong understanding of numbers and operations. And they are engaged. It's very important for children to have fun and enjoy what they're doing, and we'll see how. This is our learning methodology. This page talks about how children will enjoy math through our classes. Tell the parent that we believe that the standard blackboard classrooms will not work when it comes to learning math, because math needs to be experienced by each child differently. Children need to make sense of every concept on their own. We'll help them make the connections through our learning resources and the teacher's inputs. Here, you can showcase the parent kit specific to the child's grade. As part of our learning resources, we have workbooks which a child will work through on her own. It does not feel like schoolwork or studies because it's filled with visuals and activities. Demonstrate the first few pages of the parent kit which have sample worksheets. These activities will be done through math box manipulatives, so the child will be able to connect to all the concepts she has learned on pen and paper using her surroundings. Demonstrate fraction shapes and algebra tiles from the math box. These are the learning aids you use to solve the previous problems. She will also engage with tab-based activities in her class to experience the multi-format system of learning that we have. This will also help her develop reasoning and mathematical thinking in a different context. Demonstrate the last 2 pages of the parent kit with the tab questions. She'll also engage with puzzle cards to expand her view of math. She'll get enough time to work on the puzzle card because she takes it home after every class. She can work on puzzles with her parents and friends to make it more of an engaging and collaborative exercise. Use this page to highlight what is individualized attention and how it is critical for the child's learning. Every child learns at their own pace, and we need to focus on each child individually to allow them to reason. Here is how we focus on every child's specific learning needs. We have small batches, so our teachers have enough time to pay attention to each child and understand their needs. Because it is an individualized learning program, workbooks are learnt on their own, which means the teacher does not need to explain each concept to the child, and she can focus her attention on stepping in when there is a need. Every child is unique, and the teacher will be able to cater to the strengths and weaknesses of each child. The teacher will also make sure that the student does not fear mistakes and learns from them. Through this, children at QMath learn to reason without the fear of being judged. Our teachers will not give away the answers. They'll motivate the student to reason out the answers themselves. While this seems counterintuitive, research has established that struggle is more valuable to the learning process over getting instant results. Getting students to struggle and arrive at answers on their own is much more valuable to develop a reasoning mindset. We strongly believe in having no one correct answer. Just as in real life, we have problems with correct answers and multiple ways of getting to those answers. This is a good point to talk more about your role as a QMath teacher. Be sure to mention how you will deliver individual attention and make learning fun for the child. All of this is important to achieve learning outcomes. And finally, conclude the CES by setting the expectations of the parent. Mention that there are certain things we seek support from you. This is to help unlock your child's potential and make sure he gets the best outcome from the program. Attend regular PTMs. I'll ensure that I conduct PTMs so we can discuss on your child's progress and get your feedback. Ensure there's 100% attendance because regularity is very important. Your child will bring back a puzzle after every class. Motivate and help him solve the puzzle and nudge him with hints which will be available in the QParent app. Download this QParent app to stay connected. You'll be given a few tasks occasionally to motivate your child in his learning. With this, you have taken the parent through the QMath program and what it can do for their child. The next page will help you in drawing a learning plan for their child. Work with the parent and the child to draw out a learning plan together. Refer to the document Creating a Learning Plan to understand how to set up a learning plan for each child.